Am I the a-hole for running away and making my parents look like bad people? So, about a year back, my family, me 17 female, my brother, mom and dad, got kicked out of our rental home. My parents struggled financially to support all of us and couldn't find an affordable house that suited our needs, so they came up with a genius solution. They basically started renting a 2-bedroom house and told me in no uncertain terms that I was to go find a family member to take me in. They kicked me out and left me on the front yard with basically nothing but a bag of clothes and my cat. They didn't even help me figure out a living situation. I ended up staying with my disabled aunt for a few weeks, but she couldn't financially support us both, so I had to figure something else out. I ended up venting about this online, and an older friend of mine, Ace, 24, privately reached out and offered to let me stay with him. Ace and I had been friends for a little while at this point, and I trusted him, so I said yes. He drove up to my aunt's place and stayed with us for a few weeks, and then we packed up my things and headed back to Ace's home. Disclaimer: I know this seems extremely sketchy and in most cases would be, but Ace is chill, and we talk with certain members of my family daily, so he's up to date on literally every bit of drama that goes on in our lives, so no one's really concerned about Ace doing anything. We only live about an hour-ish from my aunt. I'm safe. Please don't call Ace weird or sketchy or anything. He isn't. Anyway, recently one of my cousins got married, and I got invited. I wanted to go, so Ace drove me home and I went to the wedding with a friend. This was the first time since they kicked me out that my parents saw me and they freaked out. My mom grabbed me and started screaming and crying about how worried she was about me, and my dad started yelling at me demanding where I went. This was in the middle of the reception. I told them that since they kicked me out, I left. A lot of distant family heard this and got pissed off at my parents for kicking a minor out of the house, and others for them ruining cousin's wedding. In the chaos of people freaking out over my parents and trying to calm everyone down so the party could continue, I managed to sneak out and go back to Ace. We went home, and ever since I've been bombarded with calls from my parents, another family telling me to go back and stop hanging out with that pervert. I've been refusing and blocking numbers left and right. Also, my cousin forgave me for what happened at her wedding. She said she enjoyed the drama and having the attention off of her while her husband solely blamed my parents for what happened. I honestly think my parents don't actually care about me. If they did, then they would have contacted my school before now about me, or the cops. Or even my aunt who says that they never ever talked about me when they called her. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. By the way, your parents can't actually legally throw you out at 17. You could have gone to the cops. And your parents only looked like bad people here because they are. My mom kicked me out when I was 16. I walked to the police station. I was told, she can't kick you out. And I replied that she just did. It was met with another, she can't. I ended up leaving the station because they weren't going to actually do anything. Cops are useless. Yep. My friend's dad randomly started locking him out at 15, so he practically lived at my house. And you're right, the cops can't monitor that stuff and they won't. Not the a-hole. You did nothing wrong, and so long as you feel safe with Ace and he is helping you, I don't see a problem there. Your people who gave you life are just mad they are now known for not being parents. Not the a-hole. You didn't run away. They kicked you out. They made that scene because family was asking about you at the wedding and they didn't know how to answer. So when you showed up, they saw it as the perfect opportunity to turn it around onto you as running away to deflect from them kicking you out. They didn't expect you to tell the truth. Their little made-up story to save face didn't quite work out for them. Oh wow. And I was wondering, why did the parents start making a fuss of they're the guilty ones? How sordid of them. Not the a-hole. You didn't run away. You were abandoned. You were left to figure it out on your own, and their reaction was solely to deflect blame away from them. Rude and disrespectful not only to you, but to the bride and groom. You have no culpability in this situation. You could have gone to the police or CPS, and they could and should have been arrested. Please don't say you ran away. That makes it sound like you had a choice in this situation. You were abandoned and forced by them to find your own way as a minor. My heart breaks for you. When karma comes for them, please enjoy the show. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my brother-in-law's wife out of my husband's wake? My brother-in-law, Andres, married to his longtime girlfriend, Bea, last year. The wedding was held 30 minutes from the city by boat. During the reception, my husband, Dante, collapsed. His brain aneurysm ruptured, and he never made it to the hospital. First day of my husband's wake, Andres and Bea came. Andres had been crying. I noticed how he looked like he hasn't had any sleep. Bea gave me her condolences and placed flowers beside my husband's casket. Andres was always there, only leaving to shower and change while Bea would visit every night. On the fourth night, while I was making myself coffee, Bea approached me and started telling me how terrible things had been. Dante dying on the most important day of her life. I told her how devastated I was. We have always been careful since the day we found out about Dante's aneurysm. He quit his job as a physics teacher at our local high school 3 years ago. We visit our GP regularly just to make sure that everything is going well. Bea cut me off and asked me, "So you mean you knew about the aneurysm?" I told her yes, and that he had been taking medication for it. She said Andres never told her about it. She continued saying it was reckless of us to dance and drink when we know about Dante's condition. He only had a glass of champagne. I asked her what she means, and she basically told me that had she known about my husband's illness, she never would have invited us to her wedding. She said we ruined her wedding. That after we left the island, the reception was cut short. Andres was so worried to even focus on his new wife. I told her to leave before I forget that she was ever my friend. She didn't listen and continued telling me how expensive her wedding was, and that by ruining it, I owe her half of the expenses. I shouted at her and told her to get over herself. My in-laws heard us and came to stop everything before it escalated. I told her to leave and never come back unless she apologized. My in-laws, who still didn't understand what's happened, told Andres to take Bea home. Both mother-in-law and father-in-law were upset with me for causing a scene in their son's wake. I didn't tell them what Bea said. They only found out after Andres told them. He and Bea had a fight, and they had moved their honeymoon, which was supposed to be a month after we buried my husband. To make the long story short, Bea didn't apologize. Until now, we still haven't spoken. I don't go to family dinners anymore, but I still have a good relationship with my in-laws. I do believe that I have all the right to be angry at Bea, but I also want to make my in-laws happy. They have been nothing but good to me. And unless Bea and I make up, there will always be tension in our family. So am I the a-hole for the way I reacted? Was kicking her out an overreaction? Not the a-hole. I'm not entirely sure why the in-laws keep inviting her to things after what she said, or why Andres even stayed married to her, but that's for them to worry about. You are under no obligation to go out of your way to socialize with someone who refuses to acknowledge their breathtaking insensitivity and self-centeredness. This, and this. Every word. I am flabbergasted. You went as far as commiserating with her on your own husband's wake. Because, yeah, it does suck to have this happen on one's own wedding. But this was already very, very mature of you. What you got after was just, wow. I especially loved the pettiness of asking for a refund. Yes, like it's okay for Bea to have these thoughts. Emphasis, thoughts. Because grief does weird things to people. And it was her wedding. But you know who you never freaking ever express those thoughts to? The goddamn widow or grieving family. Like, holy crap. Keep it to yourself and or your therapist. And then the part where she asked to be reimbursed. Holy chips. That was so far over the line she's been lost to the sunset. Not today, OP. Look, it's her wedding year and it was completely inconsiderate of OP to lose her husband during that year. Not today, hole. She basically said your husband died on purpose to ruin her wedding. That is beyond a-hole. It's cruel, insensitive and all that. For me, that would be lifelong no contact. This, my husband's best friend, was meant to be our best man and had been in the hospital for a while. But the morning of our wedding, he passed away. One of the groomsmen told me he'd passed, and I knew I was the only person who could break the news. My husband and I did a first look, and I remember thinking, how am I going to tell him that his best friend is gone? I was in my dress. We both had family from out of state, and the cake was there, the flowers, etc. I looked at the love of my life and told him his best friend was gone. Then I said, if you can't do this today, we won't. We'll figure it all out. I'm not going to stand by and watch you have to put on a brave face for the sake of a party when your heart is broken. My husband and I got married that day, at his insistence, and everyone told me later that his best friend wouldn't have had it any other way. We went to the memorial service on the last day of our honeymoon. If my brother-in-law had passed away at my reception, the absolute last thing on my mind would have been witching about a ruined party to his wife at his funeral. All I'd be able to do was sit next to her and provide my shoulder, and remind her she's loved. Opie's not the a-hole, but dear God, I can't imagine what her in-laws are thinking. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for choosing my twin brother over my wife? I, 27 male, have a twin, Lucas, 27 male. We are very much alike in some things. He loves fitness and so do I. That's why I became a firefighter and is a gym manager. He has a motorcycle, Kawasaki Ninja 300 I'm pretty sure. He was on a closing shift and he got rear-ended by a crappy Ford. He broke his left leg at his collarbone and has a mild concussion. I broke down when I heard this, as he's my best friend. Forward 2 days after the crash, my wife is going to a wedding and I'm her +1. While we were getting ready to leave while she was doing her makeup, my brother texted me from the hospital and for me to please come to the hospital because he really needs comfort and is in pain and stuff. I told my wife about the situation and she yelled at me to not go there because he's a grown man that can suck the pain. I slammed the front door shut, leaving her with our baby and went on my motorcycle there. I didn't even think. All I could think about is how much of a witch she was then. I stayed with my brother overnight as I had work the next morning. Now, I have been getting texts from her family and friends saying I was an awful husband for not choosing your wife and choosing your brother. I blocked all of them. And now my wife is expecting me to apologize for something that she started and making me look after our baby as soon as I get from work. I told her I'm not apologizing until you are. I'm sorry, but he is blood related, my brother, and it hurts me to see him in that state. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Maybe after the divorce, you and your brother can get bunk beds. Fun! You're the a-hole. So you ain't even gonna bring up the fact that she said that he could suck up the pain and that she thought a wedding was more important than supporting a family member in need. It was 2 days after the crash. There was no immediate threat. The twin just wanted comfort, and they had a prior obligation. I'd be mad too. The brother wasn't in any life-threatening scenario where going to a wedding would cause Opie to miss anything. Especially as it sounds like the wedding was local. Not any overnight or anything. So yes, Opie's the a-hole all around. What's the dude going to do for his brother? Hey bro, how you doing? You okay? And magically the brother will get better and go water skiing? You're the a-hole. It sounds like you didn't want to go and this was a perfect excuse. Have you ever heard of this amazing concept called emotional support? Dude just got into a major accident that probably scared the absolute crap out of him, and is now alone at a hospital in pain. Opie shouldn't have left the way he did, although I understand being angry at that rather heartless comment she made. But if my sister was in the same situation, I wouldn't be going to a wedding instead of going to comfort her. I would expect my wife to understand that, and I know for a fact that my fiancé would understand. You don't visit people in the hospital because you can fix it. Also, if he just wanted an excuse not to go, he wouldn't wait until his brother asked for him when he was already about to attend. Or are you suggesting he asked his brother to call him at that moment, like he was a friend getting him out of a bad date? Edit. When I mean taking care of our baby, I mean not doing nothing. We made an agreement before she was born what jobs we would do. Example, she does the feeding and the nappy changing, and I feed her at night and put her to sleep. I'm not a bad father, I'm just a witch sometimes, and I get I overreacted and shouldn't have left. So, yeah. Now for the last story, am I the a-hole for telling my coworker she got what she paid for? So I, 20 female, work with this woman, Julia, 25-ish female, not her real name, and she recently got engaged. A group of us were talking in a break room, and Julia was complaining about how she wanted engagement photos, but professional photographers were too expensive. One of our coworkers then mentioned that I got a really nice camera as a Christmas gift, and that I could probably take pictures for them. Hearing this, I immediately said, yes, but I'm not a professional or anything. I just take pictures of my dog and stuff. Julia told me that a nice camera is a nice camera, and a photographer doesn't matter. She asked if I'll take free pictures for them, and I said I would. I know, I'm dumb, but I wanted to be nice, and I felt kinda trapped because she asked in front of everyone. We have the photography session, and it went pretty well. The pictures turned out pretty nice, and I spent a lot of time teaching myself how to edit them for her. Yesterday, I brought a few of the edited pictures to work for Julia to take a look. The pictures aren't at a professional level or anything, but I thought they looked pretty nice. Julia didn't agree, I guess, because she said, "Oh, these are okay, but I guess I was expecting something different. I have a little bit of a big mouth and a short temper, so here's the part where I may have been the a-hole." I said, "Well, you don't have to be a witch about it. You wanted free pictures and you got what you paid for." Now, I'm refusing to give Julia the rest of the photos, and some of our coworkers are accusing me of overreacting and being too sensitive. Am I overreacting? Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. I'm a professional photographer, and honestly, I hear this all the time. Julia told me that a nice camera is a nice camera and a photographer doesn't matter. It makes me furiously angry every time I hear it. I spent years learning how to be a good photographer, and it has nothing to do with the camera. I can take better engagement pictures with my phone than a non-trained photographer can with an expensive DSLR. Julia's ignorant and selfish and wants professional quality for free. Also, as a professional, I will tell you that the client never gets all the pictures I take. I edit photos and I present the best of the best. So there's no reason you should give her all the pictures. Give her the ones you are proud to share with her and others and be done with it. And word of advice, people who put down a profession and want something for free are always going to be problems. Don't let yourself get sucked into this again. If I don't understand it, it must be easy. Seems to be quite a commonplace line of thought. Or, most of the technical skills required are subtle or hidden, so I can call it easy and demand it free. Not the a-hole. Julia sounds like she belongs in r/choosing beggars, although I think I'd give Julia the unedited photos, since you weren't charging her in the first place, and let that be your wedding gift. By the way, I work with a guy who started taking free photos for people and got really good at it, so now it's his side hustle. So if you're interested, don't give up. Not the a-hole, but you're not doing yourself any favors professionally. It will cause you more workplace drama if you continue to hold on to the photos. You agreed to do the photo shoot and are now withholding the photos. Regardless of the reason, some people will perceive you as unreliable and emotional because of this choice. Your coworker was wrong, but you chose to put yourself in the position of getting involved with her outside of the workplace. It would be best for your reputation to apologize for the way you worded your response. Explain that you were hurt because you tried your best and hand over the photos.
Update. Am I the a-hole for saying if my wife wants to be a trad wife, she must always look her best, wait on me, and provide sex without question when asked? Original post. I'm 35 and my wife is 40. We've been together 15 years. The last couple of years she's really fell down the trad wife black hole, and it's driving me crazy. At first, it started off with her saying she doesn't want to work anymore, and lately it has escalated to saying men who make their wives work are abusive. We both have well-paid jobs. I'm a self-employed builder with a team and earn around £100,000 a year. She works in management for the NHS and earns around £50,000 a year. We both work, I guess I should say worked for her, really hard and have no kids, and 3 years ago managed to pay our mortgage off, and lived in a nice enough area where I would have happily stayed forever. She, however, suddenly wanted a massive house that we didn't need. I should have saw what was coming. She was looking at £700,000 houses, which would require a mortgage of £500,000 after we sold our house. I gave in, and we bought a house. She then wanted a new car, which again I caved to, and she got a car that is worth more than she earns a year. She then decided she didn't want to work anymore. She said her job was crap, and I said take a lower paid one, then that you'll enjoy more. She said no, she just doesn't want to work full stop. She also doesn't want to give up anything she has. Over the past couple of years, it has been obvious she's trying to lose her job without leaving, despite me saying that I can't afford the house and car and holidays on my own. She started bringing this trad wife crap up, but said she'd want to hire a cleaner as the house is too big for her to clean alone, and she prefers my cooking to hers, so I'll still do all the cooking. So I said, "You basically want to dress up pretty and bake the odd cake?" She stormed off and said, "I don't get it." She again brought it up yesterday, and I said fine, she can do it, but she's got to get up before me and make sure my breakfast is ready like in the videos she watches. She's got to be dressed as a sexy version of a 50s housewife, like in the videos she watches, from the moment I open my eyes to the moment I close them. The house must be spotless at all times, like in the videos she watches. I want huge packed lunches for work, like in the videos she watches. I want to come home and have beautiful pies and cakes ready for pudding like in the videos she watches. I want a bath ran for when I get in, and then come down to a proper meal every night, like in the videos she watches. I then want a foot rub while I eat the cakes and pies she makes like in the videos she watches. I also want sex on demand, how I want it when I want it like in the videos she watches. She called me abusive, a user, sexist, etc., and stormed out to her equally delusional sister's house. Don't get me started on her. I'll be honest, I'm ready for divorce if this carries on. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. At least you don't have kids, so divorce is easier. Probably best to do it while you're both still earning well, so there's no question of alimony. Not the a-hole. In a traditional household, women don't make no contribution. Their contribution is through domestic labor, while men provide financial value by going out and working. Her contribution would already be far below average, given that the bulk of the traditional wife's time is spent on children. She wants to make no contribution and is disguising it as trad wife. Exactly, she wants to be a kept wife, not a trad wife. Trophy wife, who is no prize. Get the divorce, mate. It'll be cheaper and less stressful than dealing with a crazy wife every minute of the day and night. It's not about the trad wife lifestyle, she simply doesn't want to work. She merely wants to sit on her backside, enjoy the things she has badgered you into paying for, and do nothing. There is a lot of this kind of crazy going around. It won't get any better either. What will it be next? Vacations on the French Riviera? A bigger, nicer, more expensive car? The list goes on and on. I am leaning this way, mate. I think a divorce is more likely than anything else at this moment in time. Luckily, she's afraid of flying, so I've managed to avoid the expensive holidays apart from the odd Eurostar trip to Paris. She makes me feel like a 10-pound millionaire, though, trying to be something we aren't. I know we are better off than most, but we don't earn footballers' money, which is what I think she aspires to. You're crazy to agree to the $700,000 house. You'll be okay, but it makes things so much tougher. If she wanted that, why not save up with the old house and then work up to the new one and both of you work together? That's what I suggested. With my job, we could have bought a cheese house, done it up and made some money, and then moved upward slowly and stayed debt-free. I have modified our house a bit, and it's probably worth £800,000 now, but it's still not a nice feeling having such a big mortgage and knowing she wants me to cover it alone. Dude, divorce her if she doesn't act normal. You sound like such a catch. Like, I don't like rushing with divorce, maybe marriage counseling first, but you have no kids, so you can easily split without drama. Be assertive, say no, say what you expect, and that you want to split if she doesn't go back to how she was. Say she has X amount of time, up to you, a month or two. Haha, I don't know about a catch. I've asked for couples counseling numerous times. She's not interested. Now for the update. I'd like to answer a few questions from my first post before an update. No, my requests were not serious, and I can't believe how many people thought they were. It was me trying to prove a point of how ridiculous she's being. Like I said in the comments, I don't want a maid or a slave. I want a partner. Before my wife got on this train, she was a very ambitious, career-driven person who wanted to climb to the top. She was never really on social media until the pandemic. The trad wife thing started a couple of years ago. A lot of people suggested couples counseling. I've asked many times and always get the same response. I don't need counseling. There's nothing wrong with me. On to the update. We spoke Saturday morning and I told her that I can't go on like this. I said to her bluntly the trad wife thing is never happening, and she either accepts it and we go to couples counseling or we split up. I'm not dancing around her BS. She chose to split up. I asked her if she even really wanted to be a trad wife, or if she's just trying to force me away, like she's trying to force her job to sack her because she doesn't have the balls to quit herself. She said yes, she does, and there's plenty of dating sites that cater to this dynamic. I told her I'd seen them, and they are more sugar daddy dynamics, and without being horrible, she's too old for that. This set her off. She said I'm wrong, and that I'm the one who can't support my wife, so I'm the bad one in the marriage, and a real man would be able to give her the life she wants. She was shouting and screaming this at the top of her lungs. It's about the only time I've been glad to be in our new house so the neighbors didn't hear. I got a bit petty at the real man comment and said, you can't cook, you can't clean, and you don't have sex. What part of being a trad wife do you offer? I then stole a comment from my last post and said she doesn't want to be a trad wife. She wants to be a trophy wife. She just said I'm unbelievable and has gone to her sisters again. I'm going to take the next couple of weeks and start talking to a divorce lawyer to see what this entails. Then once this ball has got rolling, I'm freaking off to Portugal for a couple of weeks to myself. You can't cook, you can't clean, and you don't have sex. What part of being a trad wife do you offer? LMAO, that is some serious burn. I'll be honest, it was a rehearsed line LOL. And totally correct, she offers nothing. She will be at her sister's for a long time. Wonder if the poor sister knows this. Yeah, not to be mean, but rich sugar daddy men aren't lining up for a 40-year-old. She's 40, and in the UK where there isn't a conservative trad wife or trophy wife culture, she's going to be divorced and on benefits in a crappy bedsit. Take care of yourself, OP, because she's intent on blowing up her life for some reason. I'm so here for the rude awakening. I really hope there's a part 3. Some women really don't understand the term trad wife. She just wants to do nothing. No work, no housework. Just spend and have fun. If your husband is on board with that, then it's not wrong. Internet really make us dumb. She needs therapy. My mom quit her job in order to have me. Stress caused miscarriage and etc. But she cooks and takes care of me and grandparents. Both were very sick during their last few years. She dedicated a lot, so after grandparents passed and I graduated, my mom lives just like how I describe. No work, no housework, unless she wants to do so. Multiple overseas trips per year, and mostly spend her time binge-watch C-drama. But the thing is, my dad thinks my mom deserves to live how she wants to after years of dedication for our family. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for wanting to leave my wife after the birth of my child? Original post. My wife, 32 female, and I, 34 male, have been married for 7 years. After a miscarriage, she admitted to me that she had multiple affairs over the last 4 years of our marriage. Her last affair ended a year ago. She begged for us to go to therapy to work on our marriage, but I refused to go. During this time, I had moved out of the house. Occasionally, I would go back to take care of the house and animals, and she would constantly try to manipulate me into coming back. I had every intention of getting a divorce, but the process is slow. I hated the betrayal I felt, but I also missed my wife during the separation. One thing led to another, and we had sex, and she got pregnant again. Shortly after the news came, I had to leave for work about 12 hours away from her. She would call to give me updates about the pregnancy and talk about our marriage. We were separated for majority of her pregnancy. I told her that I still wanted a divorce, but I would consider reconciling after the baby was born. After several months away from her, I came to the realization that I could not trust her, nor could I forgive her for her infidelity. I feel like the last 7 years of my life has been a lie. While I was away from her, I met someone and a relationship blossomed between us. I truly feel like I love this woman. She has been made aware that I am still married and that I have a baby on the way. My wife is not aware of my new girlfriend. Fast forward to a month ago, I had to go home for the birth of our baby boy. My wife has been pressuring me to reconcile, but I told her that I plan to divorce her again. After the birth of our baby boy, she has been blaming me for ruining our family because I don't want to stay with her and try to fix our marriage. I want to have a co-parenting relationship with my wife, but she is acting very erratic while I am here for our son. Am I the a-hole for wanting to leave my wife? Any advice on how to deal with this is appreciated. Now for the top comments before reading the update. One thing led to another. The English-speaking world's most popular euphemism for "I did something really stupid." DNA test that baby as first thing. Info. Are you sure the baby is yours? Yeah, I could see her knowing she was pregnant and seducing him to make him believe it's his to save their marriage. I mean, how can you trust someone who has several affairs in 4 years? Doesn't matter in some states if they're married. Where I live, if my wife gave birth to a baby not mine, I am still put on the birth certificate, and if I leave, I'll be paying child support. Baby is mine. Everyone sucks here. You knew you wanted out, yet you had sex without protection, and even led her on by allowing her to believe that you might reconcile later if she gave birth. Honestly, this is really poor decision-making on your part, and I think you need to work on yourself before entering into another committed relationship. Edit. Thank you all for the mixed reviews. It was expected. I will be talking with a lawyer and will update once I have a chance to talk to one. Appreciate the sound advice as well. Now for the update. Thank you all to those who did not think I was the a-hole here. It's been a rough 2 years. Here's how it went down. I took a paternity test, and my son is confirmed to be mine. I have filed for divorce, but the state in which I lived is very conservative and has a waiting period before it can be finalized. The divorce was filed as uncontested, and I will be paying child support while also staying in his life. I am selling our house, and she is moving to a state close by, where my son will only be a couple of hours away. This option also makes her closer to family. Custody arrangements will be updated once she has moved. This has been hard emotionally because she has blamed me for ruining our chance as a family and our son's future. It feels manipulative since I no longer want to be with her, and I've taken care of her our entire marriage. My wife still does not know about my girlfriend at the request of my girlfriend. As much as I want to integrate my girlfriend, this will take time to do, and I also felt like my wife doesn't have to know about her until everything has settled and the divorce finalized. It's been difficult for me being away from my son, but I do get to see him every day. I was there for his birth and 3 weeks afterwards. I will be taking leave again to spend more time with my son, take care of the house, the divorce, and to help get her and my son moved. I am glad this marriage is ending, and while it's tough right now with my son, the mutual goal is to have a co-parenting relationship. Despite the things my wife has said and her wanting to continue the marriage, I feel my son will be better off knowing what an actual loving relationship is. My girlfriend has been very supportive of me, and I'm ready to move on in my life with her. Trying to get any help or legal advice in the state we got married has been a nightmare and has been overall negative to the choice I have already made. The marriage is dead, but I will be in my son's life. I do not agree with the empty values there. Any advice on how to ensure a healthy co-parenting relationship without a lawyer is needed. Thank you all again. Not the a-hole, but you really should not have slept with your wife that last time without protection. This made everything much more complicated by giving her leverage. This, plus the fact he was furious at ex-wife for adultery, but just couldn't wait for the divorce to be finalized and have some patience before dating someone. He rushed into getting girlfriend while having an ongoing divorce and a baby on the way, and also conveniently hid he was with someone, using the excuse his girlfriend is the one who requested to him to not tell about her existence to the ex-wife. They knew what they were doing. Wasn't this what he was complaining about ex-wife too? Honestly, the only person I genuinely feel sorry for in all this story is their son. Same. Cheating is abuse, and I'm all for leaving someone who does it. But the moment he made that special sperm delivery, I no longer give a damn about his feelings here. That was a risk someone else who didn't choose anything will have to pay for the rest of their life, not to mention how messy he's being since then. Not the a-hole for ending the marriage, but a piece of advice. Don't commit to your new girlfriend. You don't know her. You thought you knew your wife of 7 years and you didn't. This says a lot about both of you. Take your time, and I mean a lot of time. Good luck. Right, she's a bit of a psycho for getting involved with a man in this predicament. Actually, I would have a really hard time trusting this guy. He said he was done with a cheating wife, but then he got her pregnant. He can't even trust himself. I feel bad for the kid with these two idiots as parents. Am I the a-hole for asking my best friend to break up with his uneducated, unemployed girlfriend so we can be together? Original post. I know the title makes me seem like a bee, but I couldn't think of another way to summarize it in one go. We'll call him Dean, and we'll call his girlfriend Helen. Basically, I'm a university student and interned at a marketing company over the last few summers. Dean was my boss there, and we became really close friends. Our friendship moved outside of work, and I no longer intern there at all. The more we talked, the more I fell for him. He's incredible, hardworking, successful, funny, the whole package. His girlfriend is not, in my opinion. She's actually a loser. She's uneducated and unemployed. Helen dropped out of high school because of family problems. Apparently, her mom has severe anxiety and depression, overdosed multiple times when Helen was a kid, and would have breakdowns and threatened to hurt herself if she was left alone. So, Helen stayed home with her and still does when necessary, because her father can't get retired. Over the years, Helen has admitted it's weighed on her own mental health. She sees a psychiatrist and takes medication. She's developed her own irrational anxiety. She's had some jobs over the years, in the hours her dad is home with her mom from work, but would have screaming and crying panic attacks while on the job. She has them at home sometimes too, at night, but she can calm herself down okay apparently. Subsequently, she's never finished school or held down a job. Dean and I have talked about it many times. He insists she's doing her best, that she does all the cooking, cleaning, laundry, yard work, etc. at her home. She gets a very small amount of money from her father for this weekly. She also does video game streaming and makes some money from that. Barely any, I think. They've been together for 5 years, and he's come to terms with the fact she may never work or get educated. Dean has a marketing degree, but he doesn't seem to care. He says he will provide financially, and he's okay with her being a stay-at-home mom someday, or even just a stay-at-home wife. I DM'd him asking him why he's even in love with her, how he fell in love with her, just why? I don't get it. He can do so much better. He said this: I fell in love with her for many reasons. She's sweet, kind, cute, and she always sees the best in people, even with everything that she's been through. I think she's funny, beautiful, intelligent, and is always trying to do some good. I like that she's random, silly, quirky, and passionate AF. I like how competitive she is, because I'm competitive too. I like that she's athletic. I like how she cooks things, top of the dome, without the need to Google everything, like me. I love her giggle and I really love her smile. I like her singing voice and, well, all of her voices. I like her hugs and I love her kisses. I like when her fingers are in my hair. I like the things that she draws or makes from hand. I like it when she holds my hand. I like her taste in memes, and I like her taste in music. I like her puns and her sense of humor. I really like her presence, and I like her dance moves and how good she is at everything. I like that she likes to help people. I genuinely like the person that she is, always have. I admire her a lot and will always want her for myself. I told him how I felt about him, how I'm in love with him, and that I wished she wasn't around. He said, well, I'm lucky that she is. I don't know what I'd do without her. I told him he's just comfortable, and he's staying with her because it's been a long time. That I've been at a place in my life where I thought I couldn't go on without certain people, but I survived, and he would too. He said this, "Well, I don't want to, so I'd appreciate you not saying things like, 'I wish he wasn't in the picture.' That's awful. If you cared at all about me, then you'd say that I'm lucky to have her and respect that, you know?" So, he adamantly won't leave her, and I don't understand why. With the little money she earns, she saves up to do some very special things for him. Got him a cameo from his favorite actress, took him to see his favorite sports team in the playoffs, got him a PS4. She's taking him to his favorite band this summer. She also does sweet stuff for him, like give him random cards, drawings, paintings, crap like that. I think maybe that's the real reason he stays with her, but I could do that stuff for him too. She's had years to do it. I'm studying hard. I work as a barista to get through school. I love talking to him. I love spending time with him. He means the world to me. Does anyone have advice on how I can win him over? I just want him for myself. I'm the better choice for him. He just doesn't realize it right now. What can I do here? Edit. Some people think I'm posting. I'm not. Here's some of our DMs. Editor's note. Transcripts of screenshots. Dean, how materialistic are you? Me, you're really going to support some stupid bee the rest of your life? That's really insane. Dean, it's none of your business. Why'd you apologize if you're still going like this? Me, 'cause I don't think you realize how dumb what you're choosing for yourself is. She's not worth it. You can have someone who is your equal. Dean, listen, I don't have to argue with you about who I'm going to marry, LOL. You want to talk? We can talk about anything you want except my relationship. Otherwise, I won't be replying. Me, you looked out for me, so I'm just looking out for you. I'm just being a good friend. She has no job though, and I do. Dean, yeah, you're a real treat. Me, at least I'm not a broke bee. Dean, you work at a coffee shop and rent a room. Redacted lol. Me, yeah, which is more than she does, isn't it? Dean, no actually. Call my girlfriend bit one more time. Me, call them like I see them. No one else would do that. You're still talking to me. You didn't give up. Dean, just trying to look out. Doesn't seem like you have anyone else. Anyone would do the same. Me, not any guy I've met before. I just wish she wasn't in the picture, I guess. Dean, well, I'm lucky that she is. I don't know what I'd do without her. Me, you'd go on like everyone else. There are many people I thought I couldn't go on without, but here I am. You would figure it out too. Dean, well, I don't want to. So I'd appreciate you not saying things like, "I wish he wasn't in the picture." That's awful. If you cared at all about me, then you'd say that I'm lucky to have her and respect that. You know? We were fighting here, but we usually have a great relationship. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Why are you on a high horse because you're getting a degree in marketing, which are a dime a dozen? This woman is ill and may not be able to work. You are not better than her because you work and go to school. Your username is really scary to me, as I don't know how you can hate someone for having an anxiety disorder. She sounds like a great partner, and if he's happy to have her stay at home and maintain the house, why is it any of your concern? Also, this woman had to take care of her mother. It's not that she doesn't work. She works so hard and has since her childhood. She's been the responsible caregiver her whole life. But just because she can't hold a conventional job and get a conventional education, she's not good enough? I bet this woman knows more about making other people happy and more about taking care of a home and handling shared responsibility than this entitled girl ever will. And if she's taking meds and working with a therapist, I bet she knows more about healthy relationships, dealing with confrontation, and processing negative emotions than her too. Signed, another girl who was forced to be her parents' caretaker. Link him to this Reddit post and he'll be able to see where you're coming from in a way that's clearer than text messages, which are short and impersonal. He'll see it with super clear eyes, and he'll probably even realize he needs to take the problem person out of his life. Your replies in particular will show him everything he hasn't realized. So you agree she's a problem? Thank you. People in this post are judging me so hard, and I'm trying to stand by myself because I know what I believe in here is what's right for me and him. I'm giving him some time to cool off, but I'll link it to him this weekend. Might want to do it sooner than later. There's a decent chance this thread won't be around by the weekend. I'd be a little surprised if it made it to the end of today. What do you mean? I don't think it'll be deleted. I'll send it to him now then, and just tell him to open his eyes and have an open heart. Maybe he will come around. Thanks for being understanding unlike everyone else. Good idea. This could definitely shed some light on the situation and warn him or push him to finally remove a toxic influence from his life. Edit. I decided to link him to this post as someone who commented recommended. Hopefully he'll get a better insight into where I'm at emotionally and why. Now for the best friend's reply in the comments. Lori, you linked me to this post so I could understand you better. And now I do. I love my girlfriend more than life itself. I've been with her for 5 years for a reason, not because of what she can offer me financially, but because of who she is as a person. That's what matters to me. I'll work 3 jobs if it means keeping her. For example, she once spent 2 hours traveling in the rain to bring my sick mom some homemade soup. Money doesn't buy that kind of heart. I never told you that story because you would get emotional and angry with me for even bringing up my girlfriend. I tried to be your friend because you seemed lonely when we worked together. You said your roommates don't talk to you and your family's back in your home country. We never had a future together. It's not even a possibility. I will protect that woman at all costs, and it really hurts me to see you talking crap about her to strangers on the internet. I hope you'll have the integrity to take this down. Maybe it's best we don't stay friends for now and see where things head. You sent me the link to this thread, and then you immediately blocked me on Instagram? Why? I don't understand what you want from me at this point, but it's no longer worth my energy. If you're ready to grow up and respect my relationship, give me a call. LMAO. Too many ants the real hero here. OP was so deluded she actually thought they were talking about the girlfriend. It kind of amazes me that Dean didn't take the problem person out of his life when she said she wished his girlfriend was out of the picture. I was wondering if he kind of enjoyed how hot she was for him. Nah, he just pities her. Next story. My work wife called me her soulmate in front of my actual wife. Now my marriage is in trouble. So I, 33 male, work in a pretty tight-knit corporate team and have gotten close to a co-worker, Becca, 29 female. We've joked for years that she's my work wife, and it's always been strictly platonic. My actual wife, 32 female, knows about Becca, and while she's never been enthusiastic, she's always been chill about it. Until last week. Our office threw a going-away party for one of our team leads. There was drinking, speeches, inside jokes flying around. It was all lighthearted until Becca got up, toasted me specifically, and said something like, "To my soulmate, my partner in crime. If I believed in alternate timelines, we'd be married in one of them." Dead silence. I was stunned. Everyone laughed awkwardly and moved on. But my wife, who was invited and sitting right next to me, was visibly pissed. She didn't say anything at the party, but when we got home, she just said, "So, how long has your coworker been in love with you?" I tried to explain that it was just a joke, but she wasn't having it. She said it didn't feel like a joke, and to be honest, I'm not sure it did either. Becca's been acting different lately, texting me late, finding excuses to linger after work. I chalked it up to her being quirky, but now I'm second-guessing everything. My wife told me she feels disrespected and humiliated, that I let this woman cross a line for years and didn't do anything to shut it down. She hasn't spoken to me in 2 days, except to say she's re-evaluating. I never thought a dumb work dynamic could destroy my marriage. I'm not even sure how to fix this. Now for the top comments. Yeah, I'd be pissed too. You should have shut that down a long time ago. Work wife? How about your actual wife? It's so gross to me, a husband, when guys talk about their work wives. Grow up. You knew and enjoyed the attention. Now you gotta shut it down. I'm a woman and I wouldn't think of calling someone my work husband. The highest rank is work bestie. You stop lingering after work with Becca. She can linger all she wants. You don't have to linger with her, do you? That's you being a volunteer. You don't go out for lunch or happy hour if she's going. You stop answering any text that is not a necessary work communication and absolutely nothing she sends after hours or on the weekend. And you tell her that what she said upset your wife and it can't ever happen again. You also apologize to your wife for not paying attention to the boundaries that protect your marriage. This is not rocket science, is it? You had one foot in a potential affair. At the very least, you enjoy being the focus of Becca's attention. So get honest with yourself. Do you want to save your marriage or continue to have one foot in and one foot out? If you pull back to a more professional relationship, that will help you also on the job. That dead silence wasn't a help to your career or your marriage. And what Becca said wasn't a joke. She was making a statement in front of your wife. She was marking her territory to his wife. She took one giant swing at OP's marriage. How could you not possibly see everything wrong with this situation? That is not a dumb work dynamic. That is you being dumb and acting like you didn't know you let this go way too far. Because he enjoyed the attention, obviously. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not going home after giving birth because my husband missed it to help our friends? I, 32, just had our second baby a few days ago. And instead of going home, I asked to be discharged to my sisters. I don't know if that makes me an a-hole or overly emotional or whatever, which is why I'm here. Some background. My husband, 33, and I were teen parents. We had our daughter at 18 and 19. She's 14 now. It's been a long road, and we waited a long time to feel ready to go through it all again. This baby was very much planned and wanted, but ever since I hit the third trimester, I felt kind of alone in it. My husband started spending a lot of time with this couple we know. They're in a similar boat. They had their first as teens too, and just had their second recently. I get that it's a lot for them. Their oldest is 17, and they weren't planning on another, so he's been helping them out. But it went from a nice gesture to almost daily visits. Grocery runs, watching their newborn while they nap, fixing stuff around their house, bringing food over, and sometimes with our daughter tagging along, sometimes without even letting me know he was going. Meanwhile, I was trying to keep up with everything at home, going to appointments alone, dealing with the mess that is late pregnancy. I brought it up to him more than once, and every time he'd either say I was exaggerating or that he was there, just not in the way I wanted him to be. He kept saying I was being territorial or weirdly competitive about them needing help, which made me question myself even more. I also started noticing changes in our daughter. She's a nice dancer and has an intense schedule, and after going with her dad to help at their house, she'd come back totally spaced out. Quiet, eating less. I figured she was just tired, but it started to feel off. She almost fell during practice one morning because she was so drained, and her coach made her sit out the rest of the week. That was a big wake-up call for me. I told my husband that enough was enough and we needed to pull back, not just for me, but for her too. He apologized, said he'd keep the visits shorter, only go when it was really needed. The visits were hardly shorter, but my daughter seemed less tired, and I could actually go to sleep with my husband some nights, so I counted it as a win. When I went into labor, I called him from the car while my sister drove me to the hospital. No answer. Texted. Nothing. He showed up about 4 hours after the baby was born. With a slushie for me, said he was sorry, but said the other couple had a rough night and he didn't want to just leave them stranded. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want a big scene right there in the hospital, but when I could be discharged, I just had my sister take home since my husband wasn't there. Now he's saying I'm being dramatic, that I'm punishing him for helping people who don't have the support we do. He told me I'm being cold and that I'm setting a bad example for our daughter by shutting him out. He's also implied more than once that I'm trying to act like a victim when he was doing what any decent person would do. His mom called yesterday and said I should be ashamed for taking the baby away. I never said anything about keeping our son from him. I've told him he can come see the baby whenever he wants. I've been texting our daughter, keeping up with her, and I plan to be back home the moment I've recovered enough. I'm not trying to split our family. I just needed a break, a quiet space to breathe, and actually rest. I'm exhausted, mentally and physically. But now I'm second-guessing myself. Was it wrong to go somewhere else to recover? Should I have just gone home and tried to work it out there? I don't want this to turn into some drawn-out fight or drama, especially not with a newborn in the picture. I don't even know if I'm thinking clearly at this point. Have you asked your daughter what's actually going on over there? Being withdrawn after is a red flag. Can't upvote this enough. This is the weirdest part of a very weird story. And the one that worries me most, in a very disturbing story about a spectacularly useless and harmful husband and father. You are not wrong, of course. This man has abandoned OP and the family. I think your husband is the third member of a throuple. I'm thinking that other baby is his. That was my first thought.